Just a minute, I'm trying to. Okay, so welcome to today's deep diving program in one of the most foundational ICF core competencies, establishes and maintains agreement. So for I hope you know me, and for anyone who is seeing me for the first time, I am excited because I am also meeting you for the first time. My name is Kishore Thakur. I am a practicing leadership coach, and I live in Chennai. Married for last 38 years, having two grown-up daughters, always living in harmony, happy and relaxed. So if we think of this competency, establishes and maintains agreements, if you had to draw a symbol or an image that represents establishing and maintaining agreement, what would it be? I'm not asking you to draw it. Maybe you can just share, or you can share in chat also. Everything is fine. But I want to think what comes to your mind in the image or symbol.
Legal papers.
Legal papers.
Shaking hands.
Shaking hands. Excellent. Yes. We are getting.
Maybe collaboration, something on that line.
Yeah. Great. Then, anything else? We have legal papers, shaking hands, collaboration. Let me share some of the pictures or symbol that I brought here. Yes, it matches with shaking hands. Puzzle side. And we have one more. GPS map. How do you connect this with establishing and maintaining agreement? Then we have one more. A compass. Coach and coachee both joining together and fixing the right north, the direction in which they want to go. So if you look at the whole list of competencies, this competency establishes and maintains agreements. It comes under the second domain, part of co-creating the relationship. And in that we have three: establishes and maintains agreements, cultivates trust and safety, maintains presence. So this competency is about creating clarity and alignment with our client, with stakeholders, and with ourselves as the coach. What will happen if this is not done properly?
Expectation mismatch. So from my own organization context, if I have to speak about it, most of the times people enroll to the coaching program assuming that they would get mentorship, they would get advice, they would get suggestions, and so on and so forth. But coaching is rarely about all of these things. So if in the agreement stage, in the first few conversations, if the relationship is not established, not agreed upon of what is the road that will be traveled by the coach and the coachee, then, towards the end, there will be an expectation mismatch saying that, hey, I came in here thinking that my coach is going to give me advice, but, she never gave me any advice. In fact, she only asked questions. So, yeah, so expectation mismatch.
Um, in my mind, when I think about this, it's almost like walking a path where you don't know where you're headed, directionless, purposeless. You could be having the best conversation, but where are you going with that conversation? What is it that you need to support with? So I normally think of a kind of goalpost which comes up in my mind as an image when I think about this, without which
Absolutely.
you really can't set any direction.
Wonderful.
I think kind of a psychological safety also, it's required, more of accountability. Like what is the scope, or like, you have those objective scope, where do you reach? So I think that could also be, like as most of them have mentioned about the misaligned expectations. So I think this is also important.
Absolutely. And that's why, cultivates trust and safety also is clubbed together in the same domain, co-creating the relationship.
Yeah. Like as Ashwa just mentioned, like there's a very thin line between coaching, mentoring, and counseling. So one needs to spell out what is expected and what can be delivered.
So
I
we
think
move to,
it
yeah, please.
also, sorry,
Yeah, please go
I,
ahead.
I think one of the things it helps is willingly bring out vulnerabilities actually, because there is a gap and filling, and this creates that atmosphere in which that can come comfortably.
Absolutely.
I would also like to say something about this establishes and maintains agreement. It is more like getting a clarity, and more than an agreement between the client and the coach. It's like a client is making an agreement with himself that this is what I want to achieve. So it's like peeling down and then coming to a clear cut goal and having a lot of clarity, and then agreeing to follow one set path, definitely by the coachee, and the coach is just following the coachee. So it's like more like coachee has agreed and coachee has made a promise to himself that this is what I want to achieve.
Yes, Mosmi. And that takes us to the next question is, think of a time when a lack of clarity caused confusion or conflict. It can be anywhere, at work, home, or in coaching. Can you think of that? What went wrong? If you want to share, you can share. You can put something in chat.
I would like to share, this was basis the experience that I had with one of the clients. So I think the objective needs to be spelled out, clearly to the coachee from the organization itself. Many a times it so happens they feel that, it's more like a performance improvement plan. They are thrown into a PIP just because, their performance or behavior was not up to the mark. And that's why they don't see that, it could be for the future position that they are looking at. But they always feel that, why am I being pushed or dragged into this kind of initiative? Am I looked at from a different perspective? Am I not performing well? So I think this kind of things, first of all, needs to be spelled out adequately from the organization. And then, because a lot of times this kind of questions are being asked. Why me? Is
Yeah.
it because of the potential, or is it because of the current performance? Yeah.
I will share with you
Yeah.
my personal experience with one company.
Yeah.
After all said, everything done, chemistry done, and when I have to attend the first call with the client, suddenly I find two more people joining the same call.
Okay.
And that was client's manager and their HRBP.
Right. Yeah.
And
I think that
for
also
close to half an hour, the person who was supposed to get coached was keeping quiet. And these two people were just loading him all kinds of expectations.
Yes.
And I was just listening. And then I asked them, is this how are we going to have every session going forward? Will you become joining us in every session? Okay.
Yeah.
And then they said, no, we are done now. Now we'll go out. Away, now you can have with him. So
absolutely.
we will come to that question again. And we move to the definition as per ICF Core Competency. If you look at this, the four core parts in this definition. One part, partners with the client and relevant stakeholders. This is one part. Two, you have create clear agreements about the coaching relationship, process, plans, and goals. That is second part. Third one, establishes agreement for overall coaching engagement. And the fourth part is as well as those for each coaching session. So it has two parts of the agreement. One is engagement agreement that defines the big picture, roles. Sorry, something happened. Big picture, roles, expectations, confidentiality, logistics, goals. That is your engagement agreement. And then you have session agreement. The engagement agreement may be can be a written legal document, which Aishwarya you were sharing, the legal document. And then you have session agreement that you can have with your client in every session. What might go wrong if I do not know, something has started happening. Sorry for that. Some pop-up comes. So what might go wrong if we skip this agreement step? We have discussed that, right? Okay. Let us look at this question. Which part of the coaching agreement do you find most challenging? You can type in chat box also. These four are given by me. If you have got any other than this, that also you can share.
I think within the um, when you are in the process, I think maintaining the expectation that we are not going to give solutions but help and support. I think that's one of the hardest ones, I think.
Okay. So, what's one question you use to set session focus? How do we overcome this challenge? Nikhil? Aishwarya, you want to go? Take this?
How do we maintain session focus?
That one, and prior to that, there was a question, right? That how do we help them setting expectation that, hey, coaching is not giving answers?
So, what I usually do, Kishore, in my session is I ask them, do you know what coaching is all about in the first, few sessions after having built some chemistry? And I check with them on saying, do you understand the word coaching, or what's your definition of the word coaching? Have you heard this before? And then I understand that from them, and then I define coaching from the ICF parlance. And therefore, what will it mean in terms of this relationship? That's something that I usually do with my leadership, folks in my organization, where where we are clarifying what this is all about, because coaching can, it by itself, have many connotations. It can mean coaching for football or basketball. It can also mean coaching classes that people would have attended when they did their IIT, etc., etc. So, therefore, that's how I usually start the conversation, just to establish or to come at an understanding of the word itself, and therefore, what will it mean to have these several conversations throughout, and how are we going to, what is it going to be, etc. So I let them know that this is going to be a dialogic process.
Okay. What I have, and that's great. What I have started practicing, and I have been doing this for quite a few years now, is I prepared 3 or 4 slides. How ICF defines coaching, how what coaching is used for, how it is beneficial, and then what is coach's role, what is client's role, and what coaching is not. So I do ask them, and in case the person says, no, I have not experienced coaching, and then ask them first, okay, what is their understanding of it? And in case there is a need, then I use this just 4 slides to show them this is what it is. And then ask them, do you have any question, anything that you want to clarify? So what is one question do you use to set session focus? When we open the session?
So usually, like, very generic one could be like, what would make this conversation valuable, So, or what would you want to focus on in terms of the topic? Or by the end of, say, the next 1 hour or so, how would success look like for you? I mean, this could be some of the way to just ensure that the session focus is maintained.
Amazing. Wonderful.
Or sometimes, you can just have a funny part also, like, what's cooking up, with you, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That brings us to a real life, real world coaching situation. Have you experienced something like this? A manager hires you to coach an employee for better communication. The employee says, my manager thinks I need this, but I don't see the problem. So what's missing in the agreement?
It's from another party, like a third party, because the contract is between you and the coachee, not the third one. Or that's what I think.
Mostly,
Yeah, I
I
think
would like you. Yeah, please. Huh?
I think the equality is missing here, right? Like the two people who are going to collaborate and co-create, they are not aligned in this case.
So if we look at the definition of coaching competency, this partners with the client and relevant stakeholders.
Okay, yeah.
So here the engagement level agreement. Okay. So a coach has to partner with the client here. The client is the person who is supposed to be coached, the employee. Then the stakeholder here, the manager. So before this coaching session happens, there needs to be an alignment between the three, the kind of tripartite, where we know who is the client, who is the stakeholder, who is the client, and who is the coach, and they agree for the all the three are aligned with this. So the broader that engagement agreement, that aspect is missing here, right?
Yes.
So what would you do first in such a case? Would you talk to the manager or the employee or the both?
Usually, what we follow in our organization is that we take the coachee's needs as priority in the coaching session of what they want to work on for themselves. And somewhere in between, let's say post 3 sessions, is where we build in the collaborator call, which is where we take the stakeholder into account and say that these are the 3 goals that the coachee is working upon, while the coachee is still present, and we let them lead the call and say that these are the 3 goals Mr. X is working upon, and do you have any other feedback for them, or is there something that you would wish for them to add as a goal to take it forward from here on? So that's something that we do to ensure that all 3 parties are on board. And however, we are not like just bulldozing the coachee's needs in the coaching conversation to fit the organizational need only.
Or
So
maybe it
yeah, please.
maybe in addition to what Shweta just mentioned, so maybe we can just open a perspective, like, how do you find your communication, or probably how do you think others perceive your communication, just to start off, not saying directly that your manager has said that, your communication skill needs to be improved or enhanced. So like, how has your communication impacted others? So just to build on the momentum, I thought, instead of just directly putting it on his face value. So,
Yeah.
just to initiate the conversation. Yeah.
Yes. Now, let us look at this as a whole and engagement. So when we look at a company, say HR, VP or someone approaches you that, hey, this employee needs to be coached. So you are contracting initially not with the client, the coachee. Your contracting happens with the company. That there is a coaching program, this employee needs to be coached. So when you are contracting with the company would tell you, or employer will tell you what is their expectation from this, what is the outcome that they expect from this coaching arrangement. Right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then you have a joint call between the coach, the stakeholder, the person who is hiring coach, and the person who has to be coached. In that joint call, you ask, maybe they need to prepare. You, as a coach, you can tell the stakeholder that, hey, make sure your expectations and the client's expectations are aligned. Both of you are asking for the same thing. So what companies do at a broader level, high level, these are the things we want. And in addition to this, if the client has some their own personal goals, that also can be taken care of. So there is an alignment created first between the stakeholder, the client who is supposed to be coached, and the coach. So now all the three are on the same page. So if you look at the broad higher level engagement agreement, in this case, that was not done properly. And that's why this is happening in the session. So if there is a say lack of shared understanding, then what will happen? Coaching will become just a compliance. Okay, employee has been asked to get coaching. The person would come for so many sessions, check the box. So it will not be helpful for growth. It will be just be a compliance. Okay. Any other thoughts, questions?
But are there any ways to avoid those defensiveness coming from the coach's side when he perceive that the gap is not because of communication? You know, it could be something else. Whereas the manager sees this as a reality for him. So how do we initiate the conversation? How do we make sure that all the three people are in tandem to each other? Any thoughts? Like,
in that conversation where manager says that it's okay, expectation is that this coach should improve communication or confidence or whatever. There, in that discussion, we can ask that, do you have any survey report, any 360 to support this? So we need to have some kind of buy-in, or there will be some media review.
right.
So when you ask for that, and then the manager will also know that is they are not being objective. Okay. At least the client will not come and tell you separately, no, no, I'm being forced to come for coaching. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Thank you.
So one aspect is establishing the agreement. And then another aspect is maintaining the agreement. So we move to that. What if maintaining an agreement is like, checking the mirror while driving? The purpose is not to stop, but to stay aware. So how do you check your mirrors
I like this
in
image
coaching
actually. It's
conversation?
very, very apt.
Thank you. I did some search on Google, got some suggestion, and then picked up from somewhere. Not my original. The words on that has come from me. So how do you check your mirrors in a coaching conversation?
I think maybe understanding some of the triggers, that what is happening with you. Are there any nudges? Is it like I'm prescribing, or am I co-creating with the person, or am I coming up with the next question, or am I trying to be maintaining presence or staying curious about what the person is bringing across? So So maybe those could be some of the checklists that needs to be looked at. Or am I reacting, or am I more like a responding? How do I do this? So probably these are some of those things that comes to my mind right now.
Yes.
I think we can ask questions like where are we vis-a-vis from where we had started, or just to check uh, whether we are both aligned with what we had started with the initial goal and the target, and or something like what are you learning about yourself. So just like the coachee gets some time to reflect back and not feels lost. So these are few things that I think we can do, and I would also like to invite people who have something which has worked really well, just to check the mirror, because sometimes I think coaches also forget to check these things.
I was thinking that silence is one tool using, and the metaphor here for me, or the analogy is that that the rear mirror is actually to see what is going to come next, but also keeping what we just passed by, so that we are in the safe space. So I think the silence can enable that both for the client and for the coach, even though it may feel a bit uncomfortable sometimes.
Yeah, I think adding to what Deepti said, as a metaphor, I think mirror is also, you check a rear view mirror when you're driving, only when you're going to make a decision. So if you want to take a right, or you want to take a left, or you want to go straight, you check your rear view mirrors on the sides and in the front, so that you can make that decision that it is safe now to take a right or to take a left and drive forward. So that's really checking back even in a coaching conversation to see if there needs to be a decision change that requires to be done.
So how do you bring a client back to the agreed focus without sounding rigid?
Yes, it takes an art after mastering it.
Okay. Okay, let me ask you another question. Maybe rephrase it a bit. What's one phrase you use to realign the mid session?
Well, I don't know. I would ask. I mean, I'm a new person here. Like I'm just the level one. So I would ask, like, so how do you think are we doing in terms of how we started? So how do you feel about that?
Yeah. Or as it was mentioned, that silence, maybe taking a pause and then asking that, hey, initially when we began, this is what we wanted to cover. Now we see what I sense is this. So what's happening? What do you really want? You want to continue where we are, or you want to revisit our goal? Will that be right way?
Can we also add like how whatever it's coming, the moment the
Yeah.
person agrees,
Yes.
so how does this connect with the earlier goal,
Yeah.
just to bring that alignment? Or
Yeah. So absolutely. And sometimes you notice, a client's focus or energy has shifted. And
Yeah.
that observation can help you asking the client, hey, what's happening? I'm curious. This is what I'm sensing something. I may be wrong. I offer myself to be vulnerable. So I'm sensing something. Just I'm curious, want to know. I don't have to be right. The client can say, no, no, everything is fine. There's nothing has changed. And it's okay. Let's move to next one. We did discuss this, what phrases or questions could help maintain or realign the agreement. I move to the next one. Sorry. On your screen, we have 3 coaches' statement or questions. Which of these sounds most coaching-like and client empowering, and why?
I think the second one, it's
Yeah.
better. It's not on the face, it's like exploration, curiosity.
Hmm.
For me, I use the number 3 the most.
Okay.
Yeah,
And why?
Because,
3.
yeah,
I
because
think
when you put a link and the client go like, oh, that has a link, I realize something new.
Because I think shift is a very strong word. Would you like to shift focus? So I think how does this connect? The let client come with this, that whether they want to shift or they want to go with it. So it has a lot of freedom and very open-ended question, the number 3.
Okay. Yes, Kingshuk, you were saying something.
Yeah, I would agree with Charlene and, few others. For me, number 3 would be more appropriate
Okay.
because the focus is on connect. So you're creating awareness in the coachee's mind, hopefully, as against the word called shift, which, a little strong. Agree with, my colleague. First, of course, is pretty directive, so that's ruled out.
Even I think after hearing everybody, I would also like to shift my focus to 3 now. I think it sounds better. Yeah.
Yeah, I think disconnect piece, I think, is more powerful. I think I wasn't focusing on the second part of the third sentence, and I guess the second felt better.
The first one is very direct. It's very obvious. The second one is still, it appears that coach is leading. When you say, would you like to shift? So we are just asking, oh, you want to do that?
In fact, in the second one, I'm sensing new energy could also be my interpretation. It might
It's
be
my
helpful.
interpretation.
Yeah.
Yes. And then I'm suggesting that you want to make a shift. Client who would not have thought of shifting.
That's right. So sensing new energy could be an assumption, and shifting is something on top of that. So it's quite out of place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, the option 2 without the question is a very strong one. Like I'm sensing new energy here. It's still a very open-ended and inviting statement, not at all loaded. Without that, would you like to shift focus?
Yeah, agree. So to conclude, maintaining the agreement is not controlling. It's a co-navigation. It requires presence, awareness, courage to pause. And maintaining agreement is how we honor the client's evolving agenda. Okay.
Yeah, this evolving agenda is the key word here. Also, yeah.
I want to share with you this one. Prior to 2020, there was a ICF competency table. And in that competency table, it was given that applicant will not receive a passing score with respect to this competency, establishes and maintains agreement, if this happens in the coaching session. Definitely, new, latest, updated one, we have more in that. But I thought this might be useful for reflection. So that's all I have for you today. And I will stop share. So your thoughts, comments, you can share, you can put in chat. Where do you find the real agreement, or what are your top 3 takeaways from this program today?
I think the first one, or at least the one, is that the agreement is not just like a piece of like bunch of few sentences on a piece of paper or anything. It's essentially holding that space, and that we agree. I think that was something that I like would stay with me. At least that's how I looked at it today. And also with that agreement, how you can use some tools to check whether you are staying on track or not. As a coach, that accountability also rests on you.
Mm.
I also see agreement as an evolving, emerging process where, even if you would have agreed upon some things at the start of the session, you go back and check as the session goes along, as many sessions that you may have, to see if the client is still at the same place, or has there been a shift, or what's going on in terms of the client's world.
Mm. Yes. What happens if that agreement doesn't happen in the beginning of the session?
Yeah.
You feel a kind of nothing is moving. Sometimes it goes and moving in circle.
Yeah. And actually, I think, you frustrate the coachee actually, because, you waste his or her time, and in the process you get affected. So I feel, his or her time is really important. So
Yes.
setting the goal and setting the context is really respecting their time, I feel.
In some cases, what I have seen, some of the places, some few coaches do that. They create a coach readiness survey for the client. Some kind of survey where you send a questionnaire, clients fill. So that gives you a client's readiness for coaching, and accordingly you can prepare. Because if agreement is fine in place, then you will feel that the real coaching will happen when client feels pressure. Through your question, you are able to help the client think. And if agreement is not in place, you will see that there is a pressure on coach. First pressure is performance pressure. Any questions? Any further thought, comments?
I think someplace I also came across this thing that wherever we are in the coaching session is a function of the questions we ask. So if they are not framed well, or they are out of context and there is confusion, the coach is responsible more than the coachee. So if it is very messy and you feel like you're in a jungle, probably the coach has done something or has not done something because of which they've landed up there.
Yeah.
And if you're zipping along very well, probably the coach is picking it up very quickly and, dancing, if I can say that, with the coachee.
One thing that has served me well is while listening to the client, taking notes. You don't have to take narrative or long paragraph as notes, but just picking the keywords. And we don't, as a coach, I don't have to ask another question immediately the moment the client stops. After the client stops, a pause is needed so that the client can hear its own voice first. Maybe if the client wants to make some correction, clarify further, so you give that space. And then when I begin my next question or next statement, if I can pick some of the keywords from what the client has said previously, that gives me a flow to the coaching as well as there is a connectedness established.
How does it look like when you do it in person? Because if you're taking notes and you're not looking into their eyes, and I mean, how does this work? I would like to hear.
Maybe we can do that maybe in some other session where we can
Sure.
have a coaching demo and maybe you can join as an observer and you can also take notes as observer, and so that you will know when the coach is using those words.
Excellent idea.
Then we can have something like that, a
Sure.
coaching demo. Okay.
Thank you, Kishore.
Any other question, concerns, comment?
I think it was an insightful session, I would say, because the way you came up with some kind of examples, I think it really reinforced the essence of this particular competency. I think it's very, very important to maintain the agreement. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think you need to balance, the clarity as well as kind of curiosity, which comes, germinates from the other side. So the balancing is very, very important. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Great then. So with this, there is something in chat. Topmost takeaway is to keep checking in the mirror. Absolutely, Shraddha. The importance of the agreement, ongoing alignment, and client autonomy are my takeaways. Amazing. Thank you. All the best then. With this, that's all we have for today.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Happy Diwali.
Lovely session.
Forward
Thank
to
you
meet
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Kishore.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks. Happy Diwali. Yes, to everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very much.
you.
Happy Diwali. Bye.